Ghana and Nigeria have taken South Africa almost to court. You know, it's like, let's go to the African Union. It's not a court, you know what I mean? But African Union is where all Africans come together. Ghana and Nigeria wants to make sure that South Africa is brought into books with what they call xenophobia. Basically what they're saying is because South Africa is behaving in this manner, in a manner that people are being beat up, the African Union has to send a delegation of people in South Africa to go and do investigation on the beating of the people and some of the people being unalive and stuff like that. Now, you must remember the South African government denied a lot of allegations. I even saw a video where they say some of the videos are not real. Some of the videos are real, other videos are AI. So Ghana and Nigeria say because Ghanaians and Nigerians are some of the people that are seeing it the most, let's take South Africa to the African Union so the African Union can hold them accountable. Now, South Africa is pushing back very strongly. Good news for South Africa. The African Union do not believe that they should be talking only about South Africa, but they should talk in general about what are the reasons why these African people are actually going to South Africa. I mean, that's a point that nobody wants to talk about. Most people want to say only what South Africa is doing. Let's watch this guy, what he had to say.
President, we are also Pan-Africanists, but we are not naive. We reject this term or version of Pan-Africanism that appears only when South Africa is expected to make sacrifices. We are told that South Africans must carry the burden of poor leadership and governance failures elsewhere on the continent.
Okay, we are told that South Africa must bear the weight of poor leadership everywhere else in the African continent. What does that mean? I know you're very smart, you picked that up. But your little brother on the other side didn't understand that. He says, as South Africa, we refuse to accept that Pan-Africanism means South Africa must accept the result of poor leadership from other countries. Meaning, if your country is messed up and your government doesn't look after the people, if your people don't look after each other and they don't create jobs and opportunity for your people, why do you expect South Africa to accept all those people? If they don't accept that, you say they are not Pan-Africanists.
We're told that South Africans must never complain. We're told that South Africans must never ask difficult questions. I therefore want to ask a number of questions which are important. Where is this Pan-Africanism when African leaders are bought by the West and Morocco to vote against African interests in international forums such as the IPU? Where is this Pan-Africanism when South Africa came under fire under sustained verbal attacks from the US during your G20 presidency?
Okay, so South Africa was attacked very much by Donald Trump. He was very angry. We all saw him. Donald Trump was very strong against South Africa. He said there was genocide of white people happening in South Africa.
It's a genocide that's taking place that you people don't want to write about, but it's a terrible thing that's taking place, and farmers are being killed. They happen to be white, but whether they're white or black makes no difference to me, but white farmers are being brutally killed and their land is being confiscated in South Africa.
South Africa went through many changes. Trump came with sanctions. Now he says, where were the Africans at that specific time? Where was the Pan-Africanism? Because Pan-Africanism is supposed to be Africans love each other, right? Your problem is my problem. We accept one another. We don't chase each other. Where was the Pan-Africanism when Donald Trump wanted to sanction South Africa? Why didn't Africans stand together, say, Mr. Trump, no, there's no genocide happening in South Africa. Mr. Trump, we will not allow you to speak like that to one of our brothers.
Lastly, and perhaps more importantly, where was Pan-Africanism when 14 South African soldiers paid with their lives in pursuit of peace and stability on the continent, 14 lives lost, families shattered, coffins draped in South African flag? What happened afterwards? The DRC and the US signed agreements giving American companies priority access to the DRC's mineral wealth.
Okay, so South Africa sent military to the DRC to help them fight against rebels and some other entities. DRC accuses Rwanda of attacking them or taking minerals in the eastern side. South Africa associated their military with the DRC, helping them push those people back. Well, South Africa has had some losses. When South Africa left DRC, going back to South Africa, the United States of America came in, and DRC allowed the United States of America to have access to mineral exclusively. From what I'm reading here, it wasn't South Africa that was awarded, America was awarded. Where was the Pan-Africanism there? Our children as South Africans have died, but you awarded somebody else the results of our hard work. Let's continue.
America secured the deal. We buried our soldiers. Too often, solidarity is demanded from South Africa but barely reciprocated. Solidarity, President, without reciprocity is exploitation. Partnership without mutual benefit is dependency.
Yeah, you can't have partnership when only one is giving. It has to be go and come back. You can't just say, okay, you're not my brother because I'm not allowing you to eat from my pot of fufu or pap. No, or my posho. Where's your posho, my brother? Bring your posho also on the table so we can eat. Bring your pap so we can eat. You can't just eat of my pap or my fufu. If I say my fufu is small, now you say you're not a brother. Let's continue.
And the Pan-Africanism without accountability is a scam and merely a slogan.
Okay, Pan-Africanism must have accountability. It simply means you can't just come into my country, start selling drugs, and be angry when I arrest you. I mean, you must have accountability. Just because you are Pan-African doesn't mean you can cross into my country and do negative things without me holding you accountable.
And we reject it with the contempt it deserves. We therefore support the enforcement of South Africa's immigration laws. At the same time, we reject violence, intimidation, and attacks against foreign nationals. The rule of law must...
Okay, so the men clearly say we support the idea of South Africa, full force, reinforcing immigration law. However, we condemn intimidation and beating of the people and all that rubbish that's happening. The man is very clear. What more do you want him to do? Let's move to the next video. You see why we need to explain.
As the South African government, I want to make it clear, we have taken a firm stance against any form of intimidation, vigilantism, or violence directed at people from other countries or other nations. We've taken a firm stand against hatred for people from other countries.
The government of South Africa doesn't like anybody attacking people from other countries. Mr. Ramaphosa is very clear about that.
Xenophobia or Afrophobia. We have taken steps to strengthen and enforce our laws, to diffuse tension and to ensure that all persons within our borders respect the rights of all, and that the rights of people from outside South Africa are respected and upheld. Migration itself is an essential part of the African story.
Yes, migration has happened in the past, migration will happen in the future. But it says conditions. What conditions?
Throughout history, across every continent, people have moved in search of opportunity or safety, and they will continue to do so. We must not conflate lawful migrants, refugees, and asylum seekers.
Okay, don't mix those people. I explained in the other video who are lawful migrants, who are refugees, and who are asylum seekers. And let me explain, because I know you're smart, but let's bring it for our little brothers on the other side. Even our big sisters don't necessarily understand. A lawful migrant, who is he? A lawful migrant is a person who has money in the pocket or money in the bank and say, you know what, I want to go live in Namibia. How do I have a life in Namibia? Namibia say, and this is not very accurate, if you want to come in my country, you need to have so much amount of money in your bank account. You need to have A, B, C, D. And the lawful migrants have so much amount of money in the pocket, and A, B, C, D then goes to Namibia. That's a lawful migrant. That's one of the examples. Who is the refugee? The refugee is a person who left his country because of fear of violence, fear of exclusion, fear of being killed perhaps, and went to a foreign country. Refugee is usually a person, maybe the government wanting to kill him, maybe his community don't like men that do other men, and he goes to another country for genuine reasons. He asks the government, can I stay here? The government investigates his case, and the government say, yeah, fine. You can stay here because we see that you actually come from a place where they're killing people. Or we see that your family was unalive because you like men and you're a man. Now you're giving you a paper that say you are a refugee. That's a refugee. An asylum seeker, what's an asylum seeker? Asylum seeker is a person who comes to another country, say, listen, I would like to stay here. Would you accept me? But the government is still examining his case. He's not a refugee yet. They're still trying to see, okay, do we accept him or not? Let's do an investigation. But in the meantime, they don't kick him out. In the meantime, he's there. Do you see the difference? Lawful migrant, a refugee, and an asylum seeker. Let's continue. You see why it's important we explain? Now put your finger up if you haven't done that. Let's continue.
With people who enter or remain in countries in violation of immigration laws. Nor should migrants or people from outside the country.
That's what it is, fellas. It was a great pleasure. South Africa has pushed back. Ghana and Nigeria went together with the help of ECOWAS. The goal was let's hold South Africa accountable with the killings and the beatings and all the accusations. And I'm not speaking. This is what Ghana said. Now, the African Union doesn't want to just talk about South Africa. They want to talk about other countries too. They want to talk about Libya. What about Libya? There are many people in Libya. Nobody's crying xenophobia in Libya. People are slaves in Libya. They want to talk about what are the root cause? Why are people actually running away from your houses? Let's not just talk about the neighbor who's beating your house goodbye. Why are the kids running away from your house? So it was very simple. Ghana and Nigeria, with the support of ECOWAS country, want to hold South Africa accountable for xenophobia. They wanted to have a subject, plain subject in the African Union in the meeting. Let's talk about xenophobia in South Africa. Well, South Africa say, oh, how about we talk about everything? Let's not talk about xenophobia, not just xenophobia. Because if we talk about xenophobia, you'll just pin us down. How about we talk about everything? What's causing the xenophobia? Why are people running away from your country at the first place? Why are you not keeping your children home? Is there something wrong home? Now that makes the subject much more complex. Let me know how you feel about this. It was a great pleasure. God bless.